Hi guys, welcome back to Algebra 2 Easy. Today we're going to finish up the unit circle. Let's go ahead and dig into quadrants 3 and 4. So let's go back to the last angle that we used, and that was 180 degrees. We need to find these three angles that you see here. Remember, you can always find these angles by adding the reference angles to 180 degrees. So we're going to say 180 degrees plus 30 degrees. Well, that's going to give me 210 degrees. We're then going to say 180 degrees plus 45 degrees. Well, that's going to give me 225 degrees. Again, we're going to say 180 degrees plus our last reference angle of 60 degrees to get 240 degrees. When we think about this angle that you see here, okay, notice that our entire unit circle, as we go around, we're adding 90 degrees. So from 0 degrees, we went to 90 degrees. So that's plus 90. Then we went from 90 degrees to 180 degrees, plus 90. So we're going to add 90 one more time. So 180 plus 90, that makes this angle to be 270 degrees. So they all correlate each and every time. I don't know if you remember me saying before, but as long as you know quadrant 1, then you know all the other quadrants. It is so true. You really see it here. So basically, you're just going to extend your line. So right now, let's go to 30 degrees. If we extend this line that we have highlighted in yellow, it's going to correlate with the angle of 210. So we're going to write the ordered pair down. It was radical 3 over 2 and then 1/2. Okay, same thing with 225 degrees. If we extend that line for 45 degrees, you're going to have the ordered pair of radical 2 over 2 and radical 2 over 2. Next, 60 degrees. Go ahead and extend that line. If you extend that line, it's going to correlate with 240. And you're going to have 1/2 and radical 3 over 2. So since we are in quadrant 3, think about you plotting a point. Both x and y will be negative. So make every value negative. Now, let's talk about 270. Notice that from the origin, you are going down 1. So your ordered pair is going to be 0, -1. Now, let's talk about the radians. We are still going to use those reference angles of 30, 45, and 60. Remember, 30 degrees correlated with 210. So pi over 6 will be used as our radian. However, 210 and 30 degrees, definitely not the same. But I can think of a number I can multiply 30 by to get to 210, and that's going to be 7. So it's going to be 7 pi over 6. Now, we're going to do the exact same thing for the rest. 225 degrees, we know that lined up with 45 degrees, and 45 degrees is pi over 4. So pi over 4 is going to be used for 225, but we also are going to use, what would you multiply 45 degrees by to get to 225? Well, that would be 5. So it's going to be 5 pi over 4. Next, we have 240. Okay, we're going to use 60 degrees in radians. It's pi over 3. So we're going to put pi over 3 here. But then we're going to think about what can I multiply 60 by to get to 240, and that would be 4. So it's going to be 4 pi over 3. Next, let's do 270. 270, if you notice, is going to be right across from 90 degrees. And look at your ordered pair for 90 degrees. It's pi over 2. So pi over 2 will definitely be involved. However, 90 degrees and 270 are not the same. But I can multiply 90 by 3 to get to 270. So it's going to be 3 pi over 2. I'm going to go to quadrant 4. We are still going to use these reference angles of 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and then also 60 degrees to know these three angles that you see here. Please know that this last angle here is going to be 360 degrees because we know that is one full rotation. So then, let's say 360 minus 30. Well, that's going to be 330. Okay, we're going to say 360 minus 45, our next reference angle. Well, that's going to be 315. We're going to say 360 minus 60. Well, that's going to be 300. Now, you would have gotten the same values if you had taken 270 and added 30. Well, 300. Okay, 270 plus 45, 315. 270 plus 60, 330. 270 plus 90, 360. Talk about our ordered pairs for these angles. We are still going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to extend those lines. Okay, so going at 330 is going to be 150 degrees. Okay, notice the ordered pair was radical 3 over 2, 1/2. It's going to be radical 3 over 2, 1/2 again. We'll deal with the signs later. Next, for 315, go ahead and extend that line that's coming from 135. Okay, we're going to have the ordered pair of radical 2 over 2 and radical 2 over 2. Go ahead and extend 120 degrees. It's going to extend with 300 degrees, and we have the ordered pair of 1/2 radical 3 over 2. Now, let me zoom in a little bit. We know that we're in the fourth quadrant, and we know if we're plotting a point in the fourth quadrant, you would be going to the right and then going down. So your x value would be positive, but your y value would be negative. So make all of those y values negative. Next, let's talk about radians, okay? So we know that 120 degrees extended with 300 degrees. And notice that it involved pi over 3. You see that? Okay? It involved pi over 3. Well, pi over 3 correlates, remember, with 60 degrees. Okay? So for 300, we're going to use pi over 3. And then you're going to ask yourself, what can I multiply 60 by to get to 300? Well, that's going to be 5. So it's going to be 5 pi over 3. Moving on to 315, notice that it goes with 135 degrees. Okay, that involved pi over 4. If we look at pi over 4, that involves 45 degrees. But 315 and 45 are not the same, but you can multiply 45 by 7 to get to 315. So it's going to be 7 pi over 4. Next, we have 330 degrees. Notice that it lines up with 150 degrees. Notice in radians, it's 5 pi over 6. Since it involves pi over 6, we're thinking about angle 30. So it's going to involve pi over 6. However, 330 degrees is not the same as 30. Okay? So what would you multiply 30 by to get to 330 degrees? Well, that would be 11. So it should be 11 pi over 6. Now, I think we all know about 360, but if not, let's go ahead and look at 180. At 180, the radian measure is pi. So we know that 180 times 2 will get you to 360, so it's going to be 2 pi. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you missed quadrants 1 and 2, make sure you go back and watch the video from yesterday. I can say that if you actually practice and you have that conceptual understanding of this particular circle, then it's going to be so much easier and it's actually going to stick with you. So make sure you know this. See you tomorrow.